Title: The widow's legitimate name is Margaret Hale. I am 71. Last Thursday, while I was waiting for my heart scan results, my son Daniel called. "Mom, it's done," he said, voice bright with victory. "We closed on the farm this morning. 640 acres gone for $2.8 million. You'll get a nice little check. Enough for a studio apartment near us. Claire and I are putting the rest into the vineyard in Napa. Dad would have loved that, right? Legacy and all that. He laughed the way he used to when he got an A he didn't deserve. Then he hung up. 49 years of marriage, 46 years of raising him. Every sunrise milking cows, every winter feeding calves by lantern, because the power was out again. Erased in 45 seconds. I sat in the plastic hospital chair, heart monitor beeping, and felt something colder than fear settle in my chest. Because 3 nights before my husband Thomas died, he had pressed a tiny black flash drive into my palm. "If Daniel ever tries to sell the land," he rasped, "plug this into the farmhouse computer. Password is the day we buried old Bessie. Then follow the red folder." I thought he was delirious. I kissed his forehead and told him to rest. Now I went home on the county bus, walked the gravel drive alone, and found the house already half empty. Daniel's moving crew had taken the antique sideboard, the walnut dining table, even Thomas's rocking chair from the porch. A yellow sold sign mocked me from the mailbox. I locked the door, sat at Thomas's old roll-top desk, and inserted the drive. The red folder opened to a single video file. Thomas, gaunt and yellow from cancer, stared straight into the camera. "Margaret, if you're watching this, I'm gone, and our boy has finally done it. The farm he just sold. It's not his to sell. Title's in irrevocable trust. My death triggers it back to you alone. He thinks he found my will. He didn't. The real one is with Attorney Graves in town. Daniel gets exactly $1. The rest, everything, is yours." The camera shook as Thomas leaned closer. "There's more. Look at the second file." I clicked bank statements, offshore accounts, mineral rights leases signed 30 years ago when oil companies sniffed around. The North Quarter, royalty checks deposited every month into accounts Daniel never knew existed. Current balance, $38,400,000 and climbing. Thomas's voice again, softer now. I kept it quiet so he'd never turn into what he just became. "Use it, Maggie. Use it loud." The video ended. I closed the laptop, walked to the kitchen window, and watched Daniel's black SUV pull up. He stepped out in Italian shoes, laughing with the realtor, waving the sale contract like a trophy. I poured 2 glasses of the bourbon Thomas saved for weddings and funerals when Daniel came in, smelling of new leather and triumph, I handed him one to New Beginnings. I toasted. He drank, grinning. I smiled back. Daniel, darling, there's something you need to see. I turned the laptop toward him and pressed play. His face went through every shade of white I have ever seen on a living man. The realtor, sensing doom, tried to leave. I locked the front door and pocketed the key. Daniel started shouting about lawyers, about contesting the trust, about how I was too old to manage money. I let him scream until he ran out of air. Then I opened the second screen, live feed from the county clerk's office. Attorney Graves had just recorded the revocation of sale. The farm was already back in my name. The buyers were being refunded with penalties. An alert from the sheriff's department flashed. Warrant issued for fraud and elder abuse. Daniel lunged for the laptop. I moved it out of reach. Sit down, son. He sat. I took the yellow sold sign from the porch, snapped it in half over my knee, and dropped the pieces at his feet. You have two choices, I said quietly. One, you disappear tonight. You leave this county, this state, and never use the hell name again. I'll wire you $1 million. One, that's more generosity than you showed me. His mouth opened and closed like a fish. Two, I continued, you stay, fight me in court, and spend the next 10 years in prison while every penny you stole is clawed back with interest. Your wife, Claire, already called me. By the way, she wants to know if separate maintenance is possible. Seems she's not fond of poverty. Daniel aged 10 years in 10 seconds. I leaned in until we were eye to eye. You sold my home while I was at the cardiologist. You moved my furniture while I was on a bus. You toasted your future with money you thought was yours. I stood up straight. My heart scan came back perfect. Daniel, I have decades left. Decades to watch you learn what Thomas and I learned the hard way. Land isn't just dirt. It's memory. It's blood. It's the only thing that outlives greed. I walked to the door and opened it. Night wind swept through the house, carrying the smell of turned earth and coming rain. Clock's ticking, I said. 1 million or 0. You have until sunrise. He stumbled out into the dark, without his jacket, without his phone, without the future he thought he'd bought. I closed the door, poured the rest of the bourbon into the sink, and opened the ledger Thomas always kept in the top drawer. On the first blank page I wrote, Day 1, balance, $38,400,000 and change. The farm is mine again. The war has just begun. I signed it Margaret Elizabeth Hale, sole owner, and underlined my name twice outside. Thunder rolled across the fields that have belonged to my people since 1883. Inside, for the first time since Thomas drew his last breath, I was no longer afraid.